Now, as you can see, I've got just a purpley blue color on the canvas. That's dry, and I'll just be misting my paints frequently throughout the painting. Also, I've got a little bit of my foundation medium in a cup there, and it's just good. I can dip into it very quickly and easily, and I'll be doing that a lot in this painting. So let's start out here with our basic sky. Obviously, this background is dry. It's just to tone the canvas, tint it, you know, so that it's not a pure white. It doesn't really do that much. A lot of the times I'll paint acrylics and skip that step altogether. But today I thought it would be nice. We're going to do a little bit of a kind of an evening time scene with a little bit of a sunset color. And this look just automatically works for me. Isn't that pretty? I don't have a very big sky, but I think you'll like this painting. It's going to be very, very Christmas feeling, very much. I think you'll like it. Now this is dry. It didn't take me just a second to dry, and I'm going to brush in now horizontally these little cloud shapes. I'm trying to do this. This is a dry brush blending, a technique or effect. I'm going to try to do this somewhat soft. See that? And it's not that I'm getting a blend. I'm not really blending. What I'm doing is I'm floating this paint so light. There's such a thin amount of paint over this canvas that it actually looks like it's blending, even though it's not blending technically with a layer underneath. It's just scooting on top in a transparent fashion. And part of that is you need to have not much paint in the brush. Now I'm going to begin to scrub in some yellow highlights here on the underside of, and of course this is dry, and you can see while I was waiting for it to dry, I put in a sketch. And let's see, let's get just a few bits of highlight coming in from the bottom, going up. I really want this to glow, and by having that light kind of shooting up, I think it'll be pretty interesting. See that? Work that in. And again, because this is acrylic, I've got very little concern about it turning green. Yeah, you could get green just with dry brush blending, but it would be, it's harder to get the green. Now, I'm going to have some large trees on both sides. Only about that much of the sky is getting shown, so I don't really care too much about most of this. Now I'm going to tap in just some basic tree kind of outline here. Actually, it's going to come way over. This is a tall tree, maybe like a little hill that goes upward and the trees are growing off of it, something like that. But I'm just going to get this in. Now, I don't want it to be too, I don't need to worry too much about my house. Just leave the sketch intact so I kind of know where I was going to put it. But anyway, the outside edge, I'm going to take just a little round brush, and I'm going to just tap that while it's wet, because I don't want to have such a sharp, that looks way too foreground-like. And this way, because I really want it softer, this way I'll have it softer just by tapping that out before it dries. That's the key to this, is before it dries. Imagine that. Now I'm going to tap in this corner, maybe a little more on the red side. See, it's just kind of a dark color. There we go. Sort of matches with the rest of this. I'm just going to tap that in on this side. You could really see why why that purple helps in this particular painting. It just makes life that much simpler. I don't have to worry about covering each and every dot on the canvas. Good, see that? I'm just going to now blend these two together so you can't really tell where one starts and the next one stops, like that. In fact, it's probably the same tree. We'll have other branches and stuff growing over this, but I'm just trying to add variety to the whole painting, you know, and not just make it all the same. There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the water. This area should be dry, I hope. If it's not, it's close to it. And I do want to just get some watercolor action going here. So let's go ahead and get that in. Watercolor action, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. There. So get some of those reds and oranges and yellow. You can build this up in layers. That sky didn't happen in one layer, so your water doesn't necessarily have to, although the water is not as big of a deal. Probably require a couple layers. I do have foundation medium mixed in with this, which does help this to flow. It will help even next, the next couple coats we'll use it and help get a little bit of a blend going, which is nice. Nice dry brush, smooth dry brush blending effect. Now I'm going to begin to highlight. This isn't the final highlight, but I am going to begin. Now, of course, this is water-based acrylic, and I've got no trouble at all getting my finger in there to blend. I don't care if I get paint on my finger. It's okay. because it rinses right off. Super easy to clean. If that's not, it's not maybe the best thing about acrylics, but it seems like it's always the first thing people say. Oh, I like acrylics because they're easy to clean. Well, yeah, but it's just funny how that's always the first thing. They are easy to clean. There you go. That's pretty. Isn't that nice? One of my favorite thing about acrylics, though, or you can do what I just did there. I didn't even kind of notice that I was doing it, but I just set some paint down and I grabbed it and I just see that how it feathered right away. Instant blend. I want many colors, many layers of contrast, you know, many layers of value, light and dark, to me is very important. Okay. All of this is going to come together. The snow is actually going to darken up quite a bit. Now I've got a bit of a darker, kind of a purpley reddish color going here. See that, right? Somewhere in there, it doesn't have to be identical, but anything that'll help to transition us from our lighter color. And again, this isn't still not the brightest, but this is just foundation stuff. Trying to transfer from that bright color, the colorful areas into the darker muted areas in a soft way, not in a sharp way. You do it in a sharp way and it's gonna look silly. I mean, every time. But if you do it softly, it actually looks amazing. And the difference is, the colors are basically the same. The difference is one is sharp and one is not. Keep it as soft as possible. You can always build up into brighter, 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 and more intense. All right, now I'm gonna scrub in right here. Just some of our darker tones. Of course, the background, you know, everything else we've done here is dry. And so I can dry brush this right over and create that smoothness that I'm looking for in the snow. This doesn't have to be our darkest snow, but we're getting there. We don't want to go much darker, or else it won't look like snow. You see I'm creating some snow drifts here, right along that edge, which is nice. It'll be kind of random there. Look, see, it looks already like something's going on. Dark shadow, which is nice. We'll have our bushes that'll be illuminated there. Now take just a little bit of burnt umber here, and you know, a little bit of maybe kind of some red and blue action into it, just to make it feel kind of like the rest of the painting. Okay, yeah, that'll probably work. Let's go up here and paint in our little building. Let's get that in. It may take a couple coats, not just one. May take a couple. It's not a large building today. You can do this painting with a giant building if you like, but to me it's easier just to do a small building and not make that much of a big deal about it. That just sounds good to me, you know. Just enough to sprinkle a little light down here, because after all, it's the light that I'm interested in, not so much the building. And then if you want to do a little bit of snow on the roof, just to start with a purple color. It's a good place to start, for sure. Kind of almost has that on there already. There we go, nice and tall. This background's totally dry. House is dry, everything's dry. And I've got a little bit of light colored paint. I'm just gonna mist it on the palette. See, a lot of water on the palette. That way it's clean water. I have a jar to clean my brushes, but that's not clean. It's very much green. And now I'm going to come right up here. And it doesn't look like there's anything in the brush. That's how I know it's about right. All of this needs to be misted. I want a glow in the background. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this now. I can build this up with layers. It doesn't have to be done and accomplished just right here in the first round of glazing. And that's what this is called, by the way. It's glazing. It's a very traditional artist technique, I guess. There you go. Now, this glaze will dry transparent. You won't see it as much once it dries, and so you'll come back and have to add more if you want more. It's one of the advantages of acrylic, and I'm going to take advantage of the advantage, if you know what I mean. Right over that house. Beautiful, right there, that's it. Now I'm going to tap on some highlight here to these little bushes and just begin to pop out a little bit of detail here. That's all I need, a little highlight, a little detail. It's pretty, begin to even soften, because we softened this, but it did dry out a little more transparent, so you could either go another coat, and we still may. I may do another coat, and I'll let you know. We'll do it together. But I'm going to add just a little bit of this color to these little trees. just make them look like they're frosty, covered bush tree things going on, just forest back here. And over here, I don't know that I care so much. I gotta have something blank to show my tree. I'm gonna do a lot of tree trunks back there, maybe even with a liner brush, which I can do at any time because this is all drying so quickly. You know, I don't have to worry about creating a mud slick up on here. Let's do a bush that comes down and hangs like so. I don't know. I don't even know what this is. I'm just doing something different. Let's do something different right here. A bush that hangs over, like a droopy bush of some kind. You know, you tell me what that is. I don't know, but that's kind of neat. See that? I don't know. Something different. Something different. And see how that changes this whole area. It makes it feel just, you know, it's a little special. And this may be a little subtle here, but I'm going to add in some tree trunks. And some of these, yeah, are even going to come from down here and up. Of course, it's okay to use my liner brush and totally safe. And I'm happy to do it because this is going to dry in a matter of moments. Here's my color. It's kind of a gray. Not too dark. I think that's probably the most important part. Not too dark. Of course, you can take these and just sort of blend them if you need to. They don't all need to start in the same spot. See this? We can, oh, that's good stuff right there. And just spend a few moments, not a whole long time, but just a few moments creating a little background here. If you feel like you've overdone it a bit, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd let it dry totally, and then just float some mist right over this. You don't have to do the whole thing, just a little mist right over here. And we may do that together if I feel like I overdo it, but so far I'm gonna try not to, but you know, so far it's okay. Now I'm gonna block in a big tree right in here, very close to the middle of the painting. What that's gonna do is it just adds a little variety to the painting. Something you wouldn't expect. And let's see here, bring out a branch or two from it. Of course, I'm not just doing this all willy-nilly. I'm actually being very careful with this tree. I don't want to have to. I could repair this, but I don't want to have to. And then another one right here, big dark one. This will make the other one make that one look more reasonable because I want a big dark one. Now I do have a fence which I've got to put in around this, but I don't care at all right now because I want to get this in to make sure that I like that one. All right, I took that tree out. Can you believe it? Can you believe I didn't mess up the painting? So I went back and like I always do, and I look and make sure everything's okay. And you probably were yelling at me as I was painting it. It was just, I mean, I do stuff that's in the middle of the painting and it's okay usually, I can pull it off. Something about it, it didn't quite work. You may be wondering how I got it off. I grabbed a baby wipe. I could have used just a wet paper towel probably, but I used a baby wipe and I rubbed it off the sky and that worked out fine. I did put just a little bit of that white glaze back over it. This is where I wiped off was a little darker. You could see just darkness there. Not darkness of the tree. I should have filmed it, but I was trying to get it off very quickly. You can see that branch right there it's there. I figured we'd just work with it, you know. I didn't wipe it off. I was being as careful as I could. I also see a little bit up there, which we'll probably work with. Let's go ahead and come in now. So it's not so, yeah, let's just wrap right in front of that house. That'll push the house back into the distance. There, better. Oh, that's better. Okay, so disaster avoided. Just wanted to show you, in case you were wondering, how my tree shifted over. I'm gonna paint in the windows here to this little cabin. Just a nice mottled, not over mixed, yellowy, orangey color. Very nice. Okay, and then down here as well, just try to make that somewhat even. I don't think it needs to be perfect, but there it is. That's in. That's just the beginning. Obviously, we got the glow to paint around. There's a lot more to go yet. Potentially even in the windows. Honestly, could go just a little bit more white. There it is. And then just anywhere there's these little snow ridges, you just hit them with this light. Isn't that, oh, that's nice. Yeah, we can work with that. I'm gonna highlight this roof just a little bit here, bring a little light to it there. Good, good, good. See, we'll just sort of pull a little bit of that highlight down. Nice, and it doesn't have to be perfectly covered. Yeah, something like that looks about right. And then we'll do also the same to this roof. Just take just a little bit of like an umber or something, and I just want to begin to, right in this area, begin to just paint in little logs. It's supposed to look like a log cabin. I don't want it to be so crazy detailed that it looks silly for as far away as it is, but something's just a little. Just a little. It's not perfect. And I'm following the slope of the house, the perspective. I think that's critical, actually. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just begin adding a little bit of sparkling highlight just with the micro filbert brush here to our bushes. You gotta imagine that light filtering through kind of down here. And we'll have to build just like this. This doesn't happen in one layer of paint. In fact, a moment ago I went back and I brightened some of this area. But this here doesn't happen also in one layer of paint. This takes several layers to build up the highlight. And what happens if you don't, well, I'll tell you what happens if you don't do it in layers. You end up with it looks good, it just doesn't have that glowing effect. The only way you get it to glow versus just looking highlighted is by having the brightest spot in the center and 4 or 5 different varying colors coming out from that. Not only shades of lighter and darker value, but also color. I'm gonna drop in a little fence back here, starting kind of in the middle area where I might want that. When I pull, might as well pull in the direction that the shadow's gonna go. Makes life easy. And the light's okay to have dark. And then darks, you got to have light to show. That's just how it is. Without that, you'll have no contrast. You really won't have much of a painting. Just like all 3 posts there, just to show something. I don't know. Like there's a gap in the fence and it keeps going. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just there kind of for effect. And I can even run a little fence back here just to show something. Yeah, that's kind of nice. It's just enough to bring you right around the corner there. Excellent. Now, if you want to add in just some snow-covered rails, I think that would be appropriate. I'm gonna brush in now some low-lying bushes, grass, whatever you want to call this. I've got some foundation medium, and I've got this kind of brownish, warm, very warm color. Of course, I got my number 4 bristle brush, which is by far the best brush for this sort of thing. It'll work just like a rake brush, except for rather than being predictable, it's very random. Every time you reload it, it'll give you a little bit of a different texture, because it's a natural bristle brush versus synthetic. All right, now right in here, I want to see a big bush. Why bother with these bushes? Well, I think blank spots are pretty. Like that blank spot, I put a little something in there maybe, but I don't want to overcrowd any of this. So, but down here, I think this is good. See what I'm saying? It brings a little bit more, brings you forward. I'm gonna finish up this lower grass with the liner brush. Just to add some details and whatnot. I think that's appropriate, looks good. Yeah, definitely. Dry grass color, I wouldn't do anything green. I've definitely, I've got green on my palette, but I don't think I've used it. There we go, look at that. Get a few of these sticking out into this darker water. Contrast, oh, I like contrast. Okay, and then it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and get I've just got a little bit of leftover kind of blue color. You know, by the way, this is the easier way to thin your paint down with the mister bottle than trying to dip into the water a whole bunch of times. We'll do a few of these here that are covered, and a few that are kind of broken down. It's hard to see, but this is subtle. We'll just do a few here. Snowy, frosty grass blades, and that just helps to kind of wrap this up. I want that to look a little bit detailed, but not too busy. This painting was looking good, and it is almost done, but I want to just toss a little bit of a snowman here to make it feel a little bit more like Christmas. See that? And we'll highlight appropriately. It'll be just a silver lining more or less around the outside, put a little detail on them. Probably going to do a Christmas tree as well. Now I think this is a great time to place in just a little Christmas tree. This is obviously small compared to the giant trees around. It's just a little baby tree is all. So we need larger separations. I don't want to see too much of a small separations in the limbs. I want some larger negative space areas to make this look proportionally, not so much proportionally correct, but dimensionally correct, where it's close enough in the foreground. Otherwise, it looks like it belongs back there. But the other thing that will help us a lot is the value of it. Nice dark pockets of shadow there. And of course, smear it the way you're gonna go. Grab it, pull it, good. Now I know it's subtle, but in order to get a beautiful glow, of course you can see I put a little snow here, but to get a nice glow here to this star, I need to start just with a basic wash of light color, light yellow, and then I work up gradually a little bit more solid. That's gonna be too solid. A little bit more solid and solid until I get it just right, and then I put just a little note of color there in the middle for the star. I won't really try to paint a star, just make it look like a light. That's nice. See, I thought about putting it way over here, but I didn't think it was gonna look right. I thought it'd be a little distracting. You have to have negative, I don't want everything filled in like a big polka dot painting, negative space with very little areas, little in the area, and then areas that are kind of filled in. Because that's kind of a busy area, that's kind of a busy area, that's kind of a soft blank area, and I like the way that those are working together. So that kind of gives you some thoughts there to the reason why I do what I'm doing. Don't know if those are great ideas or not, but at least it gives you the idea. Whether it's good or not, I guess you can decide. Well, that about wraps things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing it. We really did experiment quite a bit with lighting, and I enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. It helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.